welcome to the Cannon Falls Library how-to video series. Today we're going to talk about a topic that's hot on people's mind. It's August 2020. The topic is how to breathe well when you're wearing a mask. And this is an addendum to a video we recorded a few weeks ago, which was how to breathe well in general. The video, incidentally, is already being posted on the Cannon Falls Library website, as well as on the Office website and on the Office YouTube channel. If you want to look it up, I'm going to be referring to that. So the feedback that we had from the first video was it was helpful, but people wanted a few more tips on how to apply breathing technique to the situation where you have to wear facial covering. Just to put things in perspective, Minnesota put a mask mandate in place 3 weeks ago. For most people, that's been a very eventful transition. For some people, that's a little more of a challenge. Most of the world has already been using facial coverings in density areas and for public health purposes for quite some time. The US is a later adopter. Even in the US, a lot of people are already used to wearing masks all day long in the medical profession, like surgeons and dentists. But if you've ever used a cell phone or a car or any appliance, all of these have microchips and microcircuits that are manufactured in clean rooms, so people are already wearing masks 10-12 hours a day so they can provide us with our creature comforts, and see if they can do it for 12 hours, we can do the same thing for the duration of a trip to the grocery store. I'm not a mask expert, but Dr. Alvarez and I had to learn to wear a mask for 12 hours literally overnight 3 months ago, and in the process we learned a few things and we wanted to share those tips with you. The first thing has nothing to do with breathing actually, but we're going to be wearing masks for the foreseeable future, and part of breathing comfortably with a mask is really simply to have a mask that fits you correctly. And there are all sorts of mask designs out there. I don't want to review them, but I want to point out two important things. The first one is the ear loop system. Very often the ear loops are too short and give people the elephant ears, and so it's uncomfortable and you don't want to wear the mask very long. So make sure you have something that's got, if possible, adjustable ear loops, or consider something like the drawstring that goes in the back of the head. And this design allows you to fit it comfortably to your side. Also, if you wear hearing aids, it's going to avoid rubbing on the hearing aids and give you inside grain sole. The second part of the mask is the nose piece. If you have a mask that's straight, most surgical masks are like that, but the surgical masks have the little piece. Very often, things will continue to slip down, and that's uncomfortable and it cuts off your airways. Several mask designs now have a piece that goes higher up on the nose, and those actually are going to be more comfortable and stay in place better. The advantage of the masks that have this design is also that it has a tendency to create a little bit of a ledge and an air pocket in front of your nose, which makes it more comfortable. There are sorts of retrofits that are coming up online right now. The latest one is called a mask expander, and it's something that stays on the inside of the mask and literally puffs it out. You can hear people speak better, but it also gives you a sense of having a little more air in front of your face. The next thing I want to mention is that when you put a physical barrier in front of your airways, a mask would be something like that, it's going to create a response in your brain that activates some very primitive reflexes that protect us from perceived threat to our airways. That response tends to raise the alarm system in your body and is going to do things like raise your adrenaline. Consequently, some people will have a sensation of being very anxious or jittery or a little bit claustrophobic when they put a mask on. And that's actually a very normal survival response. It's stronger in some people than others. If you find yourself in that situation, very often you're going to start breathing very shallow as a protective mechanism. The way you break that cycle is not to focus on breathing in, but actually to focus on breathing out. And I'm going to refer you for that to the first video where we talked about the exhalation technique. When you have a mask on, focus about breathing out as long and as deep as you can, taking a normal breath and repeating that 3 times. So, and you repeat that one more time. If you breathe all the way out, you tend to trigger the level of your brain a much better breathing and reflex, and you can break the shallow breathing response. The other thing about this adrenaline reflex is that it usually lasts between 5 and 15 minutes. After that, when your body realizes that you have plenty of oxygen, your brain stops creating that reflex. But for most people, especially people who get that reflex pretty intensely, they never actually wear the mask long enough to get past that 15 minutes where they actually feel comfortable. So my advice, even though it's not very popular advice, is actually practice using your mask at home when you're doing something not very physical, but you're distracted, like you're doing the dishes or you're responding to email, just so that your brain's alarm response gets a little bit desensitized. The last item I wanted to review is the concern that some people have. They may be truly having an adverse reaction to the mask, as evidenced by a drop in their blood oxygen level. Probably not really common, certainly happens to some people, although the sensation of being short of oxygen is fairly common. There's a very easy way to find out. It's by using a little device called a pulse oximeter. It's something that you put on your fingertips and it measures your oxygen saturation. Normal is between 95 and 100, optimal probably a little closer to 98. So I'm going to put on my mask and we're going to measure my oxygen saturation. And it's 98. And then I'm going to take my mask out and it's still 98. We started doing that as part of our routine vitals. We have not seen a lot of people. Actually, I've only seen one person in 2 months that had an oxygen that was dropping enough that they should be considering a shield. But if you are concerned at all, please let us know. We'll be glad to measure it for you. We even have a couple extras we can send home for you so that you can measure it in the comfort of your home. I hope this has been helpful and informative. Have a great day.